Dahiru walls his way into the studio, and we are super excited to have you in the studio with us.
Please,
good afternoon.
For coming late.
You don't need to apologize, Dr. Majeed. We understand.
Circumstances beyond our control.
I totally understand. Thank you for making it nonetheless. You could easily have said, no, I won't be able to make it today, and there's nothing we would have done about it.
Thank you. And good afternoon to our listeners, and apologies too for starting late.
All right, then. So, now that we have our guest in the studio, we started off with the breaking news coming in, and as Bayonanuga tweeted, talking about the scrapping of certain ministries and some sort of merger that we're seeing. So, the Ministry of Sports is gone. It is now under transfer. They're saying the Ministry of Sport Development will now be transferred to the National Sports Commission, which will take charge of sport-related activities. Also, they're done with the Ministry of Niger Delta. What we'll now have would be Ministry of Regional Development to take care of all the development commissions that we have, from the Niger Delta to the Northwest, Northeast, Southwest, Southeast, the proposed South-South that is coming up. That ministry will take care of it. And the FEC also approved the merger of the Ministry of Tourism with the Ministry of Culture and Creative Economy, creating a single entity. That's what we're getting. Perhaps there'll be more updates beyond the tweet that he has put out. But you start to really wonder, is this significant as a shake-up to change anything, to improve these ministries, particularly sport, where you're saying the Ministry of Sport Development is now under the National Sports Commission? What does it do for sport-related activity and the industry generally if it's moved to a commission of this sort?
It depends on how the government empowers the commission.
Okay.
Really. National Sports Commission used to be quite effective in the days gone by. And so it depends on the agenda the government is resolving for sports. But I think that a sports commission is adequate to handle sports activities, because sports in itself is just part of education. And the Ministry of Education can also evolve activities and curriculum that also make sure that you catch them young, right from within the formal school setting, as it used to be in the past. A lot of athletes became very successful from primary school to secondary school and then the university. So I remember when I was in secondary school, we used to have elaborate house sports competition across the entire state with different schools coming up. In fact, you would think it was like a mini Olympics of some sort. So sport activities can also be taken care of by the Ministry of Education as part of youth development, while the National Sports Commission can effectively take charge of sporting activities at the national level, including supervisory role over all of the federations. So that's not so bad a decision to have taken, because if you recall, one of the criticisms of the government is that it had too many ministers, too many bureaucracies. So where you can merge, it is very important. It's very good. For me, the merger should have been more than what we saw today. I would have expected the Ministry of Information to swallow up tourism and culture.
Culture, okay.
Yes. To swallow it up, and as it used to be in the past too. Because I believe all of that can manage under the Information and Culture Ministry, because it's about giving the country a good image through information, through cultural diplomacy, through tourism. It's all related. So the Ministry of Information and Culture could have been able to take care of all of these entities together. But still okay. At least it means there is some level of
evaluation going on.
You need to have less ministers. But what I don't understand is how much this ministry, what happens to the individual ministers?
I was going to get to that question, because if you get to see the Ministry of Tourism merge with the Ministry of Culture and Creative Economy, what does it mean? What would the structure look like? Ministry of Sport Development that is gone, does it mean that the minister is out of job? Because and the entire structure?
These ministers, then I don't
doesn't change anything.
You've not changed anything, because the problem here is that overhead by the political leadership. So one would have thought that this would reduce the number of ministers from, is it 48 now?
Yeah.
To probably maybe 45. Ordinarily, we needed more reduction to at least 36, because a country that is going through what we're going through shouldn't have more than the required constitutional threshold for ministerial appointment, which is 36 for the 36 states, and if you like, the FCT 37. So we would have wanted more measures to have taken place so that we have a slimmer cabinet in line with the times, since the government itself is saying we must make sacrifices. So we should have started from the top. But this move towards some form of rejigging, it's just, should I say, in response to public anxiety about the fact that something is to be done about the cabinet. However, I also think that the Ministry of Niger Delta that has been scrapped, so to say, might create some political problems.
How so?
You see, I want to believe that the Ministry of Niger Delta should have been left standing. And we don't need any of these regional development agencies. We don't need it. They are just a waste of resources. I say this because nothing is too much to be given to the Niger Delta. They have an NDDC, an intervention body, a full-fledged ministry. All of this is to address the historic
More news.
Okay. Can we take that thought after this break? Oh, let's go on a quick break then.
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm the host of Hard Facts, and I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigeria Info Hard Fact Show. I love to get your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here on Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
Coming in, Federal Executive Council apparently yesterday decided to do it with some ministries. Ministry of Sport Development is now gone. Sport activities will now be under the National Sports Commission. The Ministry of Culture is now merged. Cultural creativity is merged with tourism as it stands. And then we're also getting to see the Ministry of Niger Delta done away with. What we have is a regional development to cover all the regional commissions that are coming up. And our guests seem to have reservation about the Niger Delta Ministry, insisting it should be reinstated, should be there.
It should be there
for obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons. Look, we don't want to see any round of agitations or any feeling of being shortchanged by the people of Niger Delta. You know how some of these.
But how is the ministry beneficial to them? In what way? It's been fraught with corruption and irregularity and stuff. Entirely.
But when you remove it completely, there might be that feeling that the federal government is taking the little that is getting to them away from them. I mean, in the coming days, I'm sure you will see a lot of them coming up with such positions to say, look, we want it reversed. For me, these regional development commissions are unnecessary.
Okay.
And if you now match them with NDDC under a new ministry, it means that you're trying to create a situation where a situation of what I call unrealistic equivalence. That is, you feel now that as important as NDDC is to Nigeria people, so are these other regional commissions important too. Meaning you are trying to equate all of the regions in the scheme of things in Nigeria.
But shouldn't every region be on the same pedestal at this point in time?
Not every region produces oil. Not every region was polluted for many years by oil exploration activities. Not every region has suffered the injustice of having this oil under your own soil, but not having development. So we mustn't create that equivalence that does not exist anywhere. Otherwise, you might give the impression that you do not think that there's a peculiarity to the politics in the Niger Delta. So, in as much as any of this has not lived up to expectation, or even the Ministry of Niger Delta, we also need to make sure that we do not reverse the little gains made by these two institutions. Rather, we should be calling for the full implementation of the mandate of these two entities so that it can help Nigeria towards the road to recovery, particularly by healing the wounds in the Niger Delta. It's in particular about issues coming out of Niger Delta because I understand what has gone on. It led to militancy. It led to amnesty. We are still trying to manage the situation. I don't want anything at all that will look as though somebody do not think that they deserve more.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that they need to take a second look at. For me, we don't need northwest, northeast, south-south, southeast, southwest regional development agency. We don't need it. But since you've created them anyway, haven't created them now, the best place to lump them into is the Ministry of National Planning. Because, look, I've seen a situation where...
But how would it work? If we then have a Ministry of the South-South Commission, it will still be under national planning where the Ministry of the Niger Delta remains?
Now, the Niger Delta will take care of oil-producing communities around what used to be the historic Niger Delta. It's not actually geographically correct, the NDDC itself. Because you have states from the southwest in NDDC.
Oh, yeah.
You have states from the south-south in NDDC. States like Edo, states like Akwa Ibom, states like Cross River, rivers, states like
Imo,
Delta,
and
Imo
them,
from
yeah.
the southeast, Abia from the south. So you have states from 3 regions of the southern part of Nigeria in the Niger Delta Development Commission. So there are 9 states there. And they cut across the 3 geopolitical zones from the south. Meaning NDDC has a special status. These other ones are merely regional along the current geopolitical regional arrangement of 6 states, for example, in the southwest, 7 states in the northwest, 5 states in the southeast. So I am saying that NDDC is not exactly the same as Southwest Development Commission or Northeast Development Commission. They're not exactly the same. And so when you match them together in this manner, it's going to create problems. Political crisis might arise from this. You could see protestations from that part of the country to say, look, you can't match us with others that are not producing oil. Who did they suffer the same injustice we suffered, the same deprivation and degradation we suffered? So on what basis are you matching us together under a new ministry? So we still want this intervention that addresses our peculiarities. So these are issues that come up in the next few hours. You start hearing some protestations from the usual problem
from the oil producing country state, because this leaves them out completely to saying, where do you come in terms of development tied to oil-related devastation and all what's not going out in your region?
I don't think this was actually a good decision. So for me, the Ministry of Agenda should still remain, and we should do everything possible to make it work. The problem is we've politicized ministries and Department of Trust agencies so much under this democratic dispensation. I've always said, look, for a Ministry of Niger Delta, get the best development expert you can get.
I mean, we have the Ministry of Solid Minerals still standing, yeah?
So that is to explore solid minerals.
Okay.
It's not to develop or producing communities, like Ministry of Petroleum. It's not a mandate to help you construct roads or to rehabilitate. No. It's to coordinate policies and government programs for solid mineral exploration. So if, for instance, it becomes a problem for host communities too, there could now be a need to say, okay, can we have an intervention agency that can take care of solid mineral producing communities that have been affected by mining activities?
But Dr. Majeed, what if people want to argue and say, you still have the Niger Delta Commission that can take care of this related issue, but perhaps open it up to encompass people who are also oil producing?
NDDC used to be under the presidency. It is technically placed under the supervision of the Niger Delta Ministry.
Okay.
Because of the peculiarities of the Niger Delta. Now, if you now bring NDDC and put it together with North Central Development Commission, the question is, why does North Central need a development commission? What happened to our landscape? What exactly is it?
No. They are calling for a South-South. So it's going to stand. They're going to have Southeast and all the Development Commission, and still have the Niger Delta Development Commission. They might decide to change the name to cover all oil-producing states, or just specifically the Niger Delta.
Put that under a ministry. It means all of these entities are not competing for ministerial. It kind of diminishes the essence of Niger Delta Ministry, which is no longer there anyway. And NDDC, I'm saying NDDC is a distinct entity that I think is necessary, even though it has not lived up to its mandate. And the way to do that is, for me, is not to scrap it or match it to another industrial development commissions. For me, we need to get serious about developing the Niger Delta. Even ahead of the leaders of Niger Delta, Let's not look at them. Let's get serious as a country. So I want the president, for instance, to appoint the best Nigerian possible you can find from anywhere in the world with the right levels of integrity. You know what matters in leadership is integrity, competence, capability to man the Ministry of Niger Delta. One, and please, in appointing those that will man the NDDC, resist the temptation to bring in politicians or political appointees. Look, go and look for sons and daughters of Niger Delta as prescribed by the law from anywhere in the world and appoint them on the basis of, look, NDDC are not performing well in your region of origin. So you are coming in to make a difference. And if you do not deliver, you will not hold another person responsible for that failure, but you. So this is the reason we are appointing you. I'm not appointing you to go there and use the opposition to enrich yourself to go and contest for any political office. It is to deliver. That's why we are here. That's why we have appointed you. And so, we need that level of commitment from the highest office in the land to move the data forward, because the issues that are still there. If there's any eruption in Nigeria today based on the usual protestation of perceived marginalization, real or perceived, it's going to affect oil production seriously. We don't want anything at all that will threaten oil production. So I'm thinking that while people can argue that they've not lived up to the expectation, but to be the solution is not to merge or scrap. It is to enhance and make sure that they indeed live up to the mandate upon which they were set up, the vision. It was not that God set up the Niger Delta Ministry.
Yep.
His vision was to help draw more resources to the Niger Delta, which we funded well, and get people to manage the funds properly. The same thing with the NDDC, get the best hands. Stop putting your PAs, your SAs, those who campaign for, put people, these are intervention agencies.
Yeah.
You can afford to have politics at the ministerial level to coordinate policy and make sure that they conform with certain ideals or agenda. But when you come to execution proper through departments and agencies, you need people that are largely immune from partisan politics, whose focus is just to develop and implement the master plan. So I think that there needs to be a rethinking of this decision. So since other senators have been able to push forward their development agencies, i.e. Northeast Development Commission, Southwest, South, all. Since all of us now have development commissions, the most appropriate ministry to house all of these people, to house them, is the Ministry of National Planning, because you see, you can't develop any country regionally. People make that mistake. You can't. It's not possible. You can only have an integrated national development plan. However, what these commissions can now serve as, like again, I don't think they are necessary, but well, now that you have them, is to aggregate the needs of each region and link it to a national development plan that carries the regions along. And what happened with Nigeria's geopolitical regions, that they are political, they're not economic regions. Look, ordinarily, Kano should have more strategic relationship with Aba than with Jigawa or Kebbi. Why? Kano, for example, should be a hub for textile manufacturing.
Kano Kaduna also, yeah.
Kano Kaduna access. Yes, they can either import their feedstock or leverage on cotton farms in the surrounding states. But most importantly, when they finish that garment or that textile that they've been able to produce or manufacture, it should be ferried through a train system, a rail system from Kano to the industries of area market in Aba, where they will be processed into shirts, trousers, suits, boxers, anything wearable, and then exported to the port of Port Harcourt, which is closest to Aba, into the West African markets or even European Union markets. Now, if you have a plan that links these two important economic hubs together, it will open.
Sorry to interject. I was trying to look at where the Minister of Agriculture and Creative Economy said Nigeria loses $3 billion annually to foreign manufacturers of Ankara and print that come into the country. So look at the volume of what is being lost to that particular industry.
So we need that. That's the kind of thing we need. So we need a plan that would tie. You see, I've always said that Aba should be tied. The oblique cord of Aba and Kano should be tied together economically. And that reason is this. What Aba also known for beyond finished garment production? Shoe manufacturing. Where is the hub in Nigeria of hides and skin? Kano, a major material for production of shoes. So the hides and skins or the tannins of Kano, for example, should be moved en masse instead of exporting them to Morocco and North Africa. Where Morocco exports to Europe and calls it Moroccan leather. No. We don't need to export hides and skin. Let us move them to Aba, where it will be finished into the best of shoes available from the continent of Africa for export. You see, this circular flow of economic activities will ensure continuous flow of income and expansion of jobs along the value chain. I know the interesting thing about it. Nothing stops any Nigerian, any that is talented in shoemaking, any Nigerian that has interest in shoemaking, just move to Aba. So the tribe, the Ngwa people of Aba, as a tribe, would that be substituted by a tribe of shoemakers from all across Nigeria? Whether you're Hausa, whether you're Igbo, whether you're Yoruba. Shoemaking is now the in thing here. So anybody that belongs to that tribe of shoemakers, move to Aba. Then for those who are interested in the height and skin business, whether you're Igbo from the same Aba, whether you are Yoruba, where you come from, move to Kano. You see, the system will be able to absorb people into the economic callings. Before you know it, you will understand why Nigeria will truly be a giant of Africa. But my worry is, these so-called geopolitical issues are not geographically accurate one, and they are geopolitical. I don't say you're going to supplant a development plan on a geopolitical entity. It has to be geoeconomic. No, I'm saying the best we can do that we have already passed all these laws into effect. Move international planning. Let us now see how we can synchronize the best we can do it, so that the needs of the so-called Southwest can be synchronized with the needs of the so-called Southeast, around a national agenda for development and tied to an export competitive economy. Any development plan you have that is not tied at the top to export competitiveness is a waste. I'll tell you this. I've seen some very funny projects. If you look at our budget every year, you pity for Nigeria. Trillions are spent without effect. You know why? So a lawmaker goes to the National Assembly. He's in a committee. That's why he's in a particular entity, either a ministry or whatever. So he goes there. Because his other project to bring something home for his own community. Particularly part of the community where his seat was zoned to.
Yeah.
So he goes, he harasses an MDA, and he gets, 2 kilometers of road. So he rushes to the village, he puts it in the budget, 2 kilometers of road in Susaso village. So he rushes to the village and he situates the road from the beginning of the front of one of his supporters' house and it terminates at the end of another supporter's house. So what happens is that the road is open-ended. But 2 kilometers has been done. It has been paid for by the federal government. But the next rainy season, it washes off from this side, washes from this side. But he has recorded the fact that I brought road and it started from your house, my party chairman, and terminated in the woman leader's house. We will have to skip, somehow we bent the road to skip at this opposition party chairman's house and all of that. And the people hail him as he brought road to the community. This is what has been in our budget. Whereas road construction, for instance, infrastructure, should be an integrated plan that kind of ties markets to farmsteads, industries to ports in a manner that will be implemented over time, so that in 5 states, for instance, most of the markets and farmsteads, most of the ports and markets, and all other economic hubs would have been tied by road. But what are we doing now? We are doing this inverted road construction that leads to nowhere, and millions and trillions are being spent on them. What we're likely to see at the next level of this abnormality is a regional body should now go to get funds, and those who got the fund from those regions will of course narrow it down to their own sections of the region, and it becomes it's called at the end of the day, it does not achieve anything at all. We need a rethinking. So I don't think again that we need this development agency. I don't even think it's necessary. But even now that you have created them, please put them on the national plan. Let us have a way to sieve out the best way to have an integrated development plan. But for Nigeria, I think it should remain. And I think nothing should happen to any of this. It should remain distinct from this other
commissions.
It should be very, very distinct.
All right, let's get your take on this. Just before we move on to the next story, let's look at your comment quickly on this. Trians Magana says, may I politely add to the conversation that what I see is just superficial reform of a petrified governance framework. We all know all these things won't translate to anything tangible in the life of a common Nigerian. Abu Collins on Facebook says, all right, welcoming Dr. Majeed on board. Nelson Chidi, same there. Dr. Majeed, you highly missed last week. I look forward to your discussion on the merger of some ministries, or you were not around. Okay, on Facebook, Mike Atanda, we see you. Adekunle Olainka, we see you also. And Aku Kine Samson. Hafsat Mazu says, what the president did is something that we shouldn't expect change any time. All right, I don't quite understand, but thank you. Asupita says, welcome, Dr. Majeed. Tell Mr. President that the people to man the new ministries he's going to import, is he going to import them? Let him start airing corrupt officials, then we'd have a better country. David, all right, delighted to have Dr. Majeed, isn't it? Saeed Dabo Lang. The president is just scratching the surface while leaving the most pressing issues unattended to. Anobi Orachuku says, who's advising Mr. President, for goodness sakes? How can he scrap Niger Delta Ministry and expect peace? Let's see how these unfold. It's about to get quite interesting. Pilar, Annie Joseph says, whatever Dr. Majeed says this government should do, they should just quietly do it. I don't know why they don't listen to what he says. All right, Shima says, okay, he's watching from Texas. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to you, Kanglo. We see you. 0700 951 0000. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, Kimberly. Good afternoon, Dr. Majeed.
Good afternoon, sir.
You are welcome. It was a hectic day for you. And still you are on. You need some rest after this session. I align myself with all your solutions concerning the creation of a development commission. We are creating division dichotomy. We cannot develop just the way you said it in this manner. We are Yorubanizing, Hausanizing, Igbo-nizing ourselves. No development. We cannot achieve development. You see how the 7 sheikdoms of United Arab Emirates, they are developing, adopting their own strategies at their own different time, and they are making giants strides individually. They have their areas of focus gradually, without even input from the so-called World Bank and IMF. They don't owe anybody anything. They claim all the glory, the achievement, the progress. But here, we are creating collaboration with World Bank and IMF, but no progress, no growth, no
all right.
Free. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's hear another caller quickly. Hello. Good afternoon.
How are you? Beautiful. You're looking takeaway. See, I'll take you out today.
Thank you very much.
Allow me to see our professor now.
He's on camera also.
Is that my sister?
Yes. So,
yes.
Dr. Majeed, you know, hardship, they make person change name. I changed my name.
What's
on a
happening
serious note, how can we scrap a whole ministry? Although the reasons for doing that was not given. But I have issues with that of Niger Delta. Do you know why? We have pending issues like that one of Honorable Minister off your mic. It's Dr. Majeed. You know you are close to the government. What is the conclusion of that investigation? Because most time we set up a committee to review the activity of a particular committee in a view to taking decision, but we don't always get a closure, and that is the problem we are having. I think the problems that when the president traveled, I thought he would come with some breaking news. Even those ministers are not performing. But nothing like that. Is this the major problem we have? And I will tell you, one of his greatest supporters is from Niger Delta. He said, if President Tinubu then was not Tinubu failed, hold me responsible. I just imagine his reaction in the next few hours. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's hear another caller quickly. Hello. Good afternoon.
The King Tradition of the operator is and Dr. Majeed.
Good afternoon, sir.
My name is Emeka from Guaranta. I appreciate you, Mr. Majeed, for always coming to enlighten us. Honestly, it seems as if the more we look, the less we see. The more we expect. The more we expect good policies, good tidings, the lesser we see good things. I don't understand why the reform shouldn't have started from the Ministry of Power. Touching the Ministry of Nigeria, just like what Dr. Majeed has said, this is going to be a kind of a political, they're going to perceive as a political business. You know, this is not touch the Ministry of Nigeria. It is a strategic ministry. It is not there for a purpose. And I want to think, for me, I think we should avoid that. It should not be mentioned in our books again. I don't have anything like Minister of Sport. I'm annoyed with that ministry. So it's a good step in the right direction. The minister should go. For spending, we spend 9 billion naira we can work zero this. So that means the start of the should go.
All right.
Another ministry we should be looking at, okay, I'm rather of my religion, another ministry should be looking at the business of digital economy, of agriculture. They should be two ministries go. Another person should take over the ministries. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Let's look at what is also developing around this, because the feeler coming in is that there are more ministerial shake-up that we're seeing as the Minister of Women Affairs, Uju Kennedy Ohaneye, Lola Adejon, the Minister of Tourism, all right, so that's been established, Jamila Bayo Ibrahim, Minister of Youth Development, have all been, it seems, affected. Their ministries have been affected. If it technically means they are out of jobs for the moment.
So I think these ones are out of the job.
They're out of the job.
Not that the ministries were scrapped or replaced.
Out of
these
the
ones
job.
have been removed.
So Tahir Mama was also relieved of his duty as the Minister of Education, while Abdullahi Mohammed Guarzo was let go as Minister of State Housing and Urban Development. So they have been sacked,
Yes,
apparently.
more shake-ups.
It's quite interesting. I mean, the vacation was to drop his master list of sack. Besides, there is been that insinuation before he left that this was going to happen, that we're going to have a ministerial shake-up. And we've had quite a lot of people who actually told the president, any minister that is underperforming, do away with them. But, I was thinking the Minister of Women Affairs had a good standing, but given the fact that she has called out the UN and alleged something and alleged that perhaps she's beating more than she could chew in the ministry at this point in time, that her job also was affected.
Well, for me, what is really important is not about sacking ministers. The president himself must reappraise his agenda for each of the ministries. For me, what are the key performance indices you are using? What was it really? Did you tell Uju to go and do in that ministry that she did not do? If you allow ministers to just on their own develop maybe their own ideas of how to do things, and yes, it's good for the minister to be innovative and creative, but what is most important is for the president himself to have an agenda for each of these ministries. If you recall, under President Olusegun Obasanjo, he had an agenda for the restoration of the FCT master plan. And he brought somebody that saw it through for him. So you must have, what is it you want? Right now, the only two ministries that I think the president has set proper agenda for clearly without any ambiguity is finance and petroleum. In the issue of finance, of course, the reforms in the economic firmament, the regulation of this and that, subsidy removal, all of that. So these two ministers are driving the president's agenda for the regulation and all other neoliberal concepts is introduced into our economy. So to that extent, you can only hold those ministers liable to the extent to which they implement the president's vision. You may not like the outcome of what they are doing, but the truth is, this is what the president said he's going to do, so you can only judge them according to how well they're implementing the president's vision in these respective ministries. And so far, the Minister of Petroleum, Oil, the Minister of Finance have embraced and internalized the president's agenda, and so they're driving it according to what the president actually wants, and they're doing it in a very convinced manner and faithfully too. We may not always agree with the outcomes. Of course, I do not agree necessarily with the principles they're operating on, but That's what they are doing. Now, for someone like the aviation minister, I see him creating his own agenda, kind of trying to be very creative. So he tells Nigerian Airlines to probably patronize, local friend.
Yeah.
He's trying to introduce one or two things here and there, but again, I do not see a clear-cut agenda. But you can see he's busy trying to do one or two things to actually show some level of capacity. In the agricultural ministry, too, we've also not seen any beyond. Okay, they talk about food security. If you look at the budget of Ministry of Agriculture for this year, it's more of projects that are tied to rural, so-called development than the investment in agricultural production itself. He must get his priorities right, essentially, so that we'll blame less of his cabinet. But, well, it's a decision to either sack or retain, and he's done it.
All right, let's go on a break.
Sports Station.
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm the host of Hard Facts, and I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigeria Info Hard Fact Show. I love to get your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here on Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.
This is Nigeria Info.